you everybody for joining us today. Before my colleague Matt kicks off his presentation, I just want to share a few slides to increase the familiarity with this new product offering, Autodesk Industry Collections. Matt's going to reinforce some of the things that I am going to mention, but I wanted to start off by saying that Autodesk Industry Collections does offer great value and flexibility and simplicity. I say this because Autodesk has a wide range of the software within this collection, and it's at a comparable price point to the suites that most of the customers are familiar with today. The flexibility it offers is both single user, which used to be referred to as standalone, as well as multi-user, which is referred to as network deployment options for the industry collections, and a variety of term lengths. Simplicity is compared to the 20-plus Autodesk design suites that were around, which are still around but not for new purchase sales. Offering just one collection for each industry is a lot more simplified. So what this screen here we have to share with you, and we will be sharing this later on during our follow-up email, is it just breaks down all the products and cloud services currently associated with each of these three Autodesk industry collections. And the industry collections are the Autodesk Architecture, Engineering, and Construction Collection, the Autodesk Product Design Collection, and the Autodesk Media and Entertainment Collection. So within these three collections, all these softwares are contained. And at the bottom of the slide here, you'll see that we've included the Autodesk suites whose products portfolios are included within these Autodesk industry collections, just to make it a little easier to understand where Autodesk is with the Autodesk suites and how that now is affected by Autodesk collections. There are a few products that are not included in any Autodesk industry collection, let's say like Autodesk Inventor, and that can be purchased as subscribed to as an individual product. So, you know, while you're looking at the slide, if you think that something's missing that you're familiar with, it might be available as an individual product to go along with an Autodesk industry collection purchase. So on this slide, what we're really wanted to break down is a comparison of Autodesk suites with Autodesk industry collections. The Autodesk suites aren't going anywhere if you've already purchased them. You have them, you're still using them, and we want to show that those suites do work well with Autodesk industry collections. But there are some differences that are worth pointing out. Like on the left, we talk about suites. On the right, we're talking about Autodesk industry collections. And as I mentioned, compared to 20-plus Autodesk Design Creation suites, having just 3 Autodesk Industry Collection suites going forward is a lot simpler. Previously, Autodesk used to release and they will continue to release, an annual cycle for the Autodesk Design and Creation suites, while with collections, a release is going to come out as needed. If something appropriate is being released, Autodesk is going to give customers instant access to that. Before, Autodesk used to make decisions on adding or retiring certain applications during the release cycle for the suites. With Autodesk Collections, Autodesk is going to make those changes as appropriate. Whenever it needs to be made, they're going to go ahead and do that. And a lot of folks have always said that with the Autodesk Design and Creation suites, downloading has been comparatively lengthy and required more storage. While it's important to note that with the collection, no collection installer. And because a user is able to select specific product to download, it's going to be a lot easier. You don't have to go ahead and download everything if you just want to use a few of the products within the collection. And some things to point out about the licensing terms and conditions, these are just a few of the things, but we thought this was noteworthy, is that for design and creation suites, users were not restricted in how many products within a suite can be used concurrently. While with Autodesk Industry Collections, currently Autodesk is restricting it to 2 products to be used concurrently by a user or any user there, right? So also, for the Autodesk Design and Creation Suites, each version of a product in the suite counted as one license running. So if you needed to use multiple versions of, let's say, Revit, you would be using multiple licenses. While with Autodesk Industry Collections, multiple versions of each product in the collection only count as one license running. Now, this is a lot of information that I'm sharing in a quick amount of time. So understand that we will be sharing these slides with you, and throughout the presentation, Matt is going to be reinforcing some of the things that I'm mentioning now. At the end of the presentation that Matt delivers, we'll have a Q&A where we can go back and revisit some of these things. We also wanted to share a slide that talked about single and multi-user access. So single user access means standalone, right? That was what Autodesk used to refer to, while multi-user means network. So here's a couple things that are different between single user and multi-user access. And I'm just going to give you a moment to look at this slide. Matt is going to, again, discuss this slide with you, and during his presentation, I can come back to the slide during the end of the presentation for questions and answers. And this is an important one, so I do want to spend a moment on this slide. Options for switching to an Autodesk Industry Collection. So a lot of folks ask us, what are their options to moving to this, to migrating to this Autodesk Industry Collection? And here are the options as they stand today. This could change. Autodesk is more than likely going to start to incentivize customers to switch over to Autodesk subscriptions, including Autodesk Industry Collections. But right now, if you have an annual or multi-year term subscription for Autodesk Suites or an Autodesk individual product, so basically anything you're subscribing to today, if you started subscribing before August 1st, you will be able to switch to an Industry Collection midterm. That's going to start October 12th. Autodesk has not established an end date to this, so starting October 12th, the option to switch will be available. For suites such as Premium and Ultimate Suites, there won't be a cost to switch over, while for the individual products, it's going to be like on a prorated basis, and it'll be easy for us here at Microsol Resources to calculate for you if you need us to. Don't hesitate to come to us and ask us if you are able to switch and what those costs and other factors might be. Now, for subscription terms that are monthly or quarterly, there's no option to switch at this time. Those are just primarily short terms, and Autodesk feels that you can either subscribe to an Autodesk Industry Collection either in addition to or after your current subscription term expires. Now, for maintenance plans, that's perpetual licenses. So if Autodesk software you have is a perpetual license with an active Autodesk maintenance plan, currently there is no option to switch. We recommend that you subscribe to an Autodesk Industry Collection for new license purchases and continue to renew your existing licenses that are on an Autodesk maintenance plan. And what Annalisa mentioned, there is a promo for Autodesk perpetual licenses without an active Autodesk maintenance plan, and I believe also needing to be one version back. So let's say, older 2016 and older. You do have an option to trade up to a 3-year subscription of an Autodesk Industry Collection, save 50%, and that's going on only through October 21st. So if you're thinking, do I have an old license that could qualify for this, you can give us a call, you can send us an email, and we can go over this with you and let you know if you can qualify for this. So Autodesk Industry Collections, the way to get up and running with an Autodesk Industry Collection is to select the product that you would like, either an Industry Collection or if you want an individual product, to select the access type, so the deployment type, whether single user or multi-user, and select the term that you're looking for, monthly, quarterly, annual, and multi-year. And it's important for me to mention that multi-user access network deployment is only available starting with annual and multi-year term subscriptions. There's no network subscription, no multi-user access subscription for monthly and quarterly terms, just throwing that out there. And finally, I just want to mention and reinforce that Autodesk Industry Collections are a good fit for quite a number of our customers. And it's a good fit for you if you currently have an Autodesk Design and Creation Suite. It's a good fit if you want to use multiple Autodesk products and services. the flexibility of the terms that used to not be available before this subscription environment, monthly, quarterly, annual, multi-year. If you need flexible solutions that fit the needs of your firm or even an individual who needs those flexible solutions, this is a good offering. And if you want the best technology now and in the future, because Autodesk, this is the way they're going, and they're going to continuously develop this product offering. And I've included on the right a chart that I'm asking that you can use to aid you in your purchasing considerations. We're here to help you at Microsol Resources go through what you have now based on what you need and the best solution for you. So as you're considering the purchasing options when it comes to this new product offering, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can assist you with that. Thank you so much for staying with me during this time, and I'm going to go ahead and now pass this over to my co-presenter here, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Rowena. I appreciate the introduction, and that was a great overview of basically the changes that are coming down the pike. Excuse me, for what's happening with the industry collections. So this is a big change that's happening across the entire lineup of Autodesk software. So what we have to do today basically is clear up a little bit about what's going on and see where the industry collections makes the most sense for you, as well as talk about some of the more advanced features that are in the industry collections. Now, we have, like Rowena said, we have three industry collections to choose from: the Architecture, Engineering, and Construction collection, the Media and Entertainment collection, and the Product Design collection. I'm going to talk mostly today about the Architecture, Engineering, and Construction collection, although I'll cover what's in the other two as well. But the upshot about these collections is that instead of 20 separate suites, and within those suites 3 separate iterations or versions of those suites with the standard, premium, and ultimate, you just now have these 3 collections to choose from. And it makes your software purchasing decisions really easy, because with each of these collections, the list of software that you have access to is quite huge. So when we are looking at the benefits for company owners, for executives, even for users, essentially you have like this simplified packaging to choose from, just 3 collections to choose from. It makes it really simple. With each of these collections, you're getting more for your money, because essentially the pricing for each of these collections rivals what you would pay for a building design suite, but you're getting a lot more software. You're getting a lot more, especially cloud services that Autodesk is developing constantly, and that really is a lot of a real heavy part of the future of what Autodesk is doing from a development standpoint. And as Rowena said before, as these applications change, as the collections themselves change, you get these changes instantly. So a new release of whatever comes out, you get it as Autodesk makes updates and things like that to the applications and the collections. You're going to get those as well through the Autodesk desktop app. And as well as it should eliminate or reduce some operational costs with dealing with so many different suites that you had to choose from, and also different permutations of whether it's a standard versus a ultimate or versus a premium. So if you have a large multi-discipline company, then you have all these different suites floating around, and your licensing is just kind of crazy. A lot of that can be now simplified down to a single collection. Boom. Done. That's it, and you don't have to worry about all these little, tiny specialized suites that we had to deal with in the past. For IT managers, I think a lot of this comes down to the ability to manage your software in a much more intelligent manner. Like I said before, if you have a lot of suites happening, that means that you basically had to download multiple suite packages for standard, ultimate, whatever, and you had to, probably made deployments for each of those, and you had maybe different deployment options as well. So, okay, I want to have a building design suite premium, but I don't want to install 3ds Max for some reason, or I don't want to install, AutoCAD Architecture or something like that, but then I might need to do that for somebody else. So you have all these different, very large deployments that you have to deal with, and rolling out software has always been a little bit of a pain, to put it lightly. Now it is actually a lot more streamlined, especially under the new subscription or what we call in the trade the rental way of subscribing to Autodesk software. In a sense, the account administrators will assign and unassign products and cloud services to each of the users using the Autodesk account site, and this is under the single user licensing model that we have. We also have multi-user or network licensing is also an option. But instead of downloading this entire ball of the Building Design Suite Ultimate, which is, last time I checked, was about, I don't know, 70 or so gigabytes worth of stuff. Instead of downloading that whole big package, you just download the individual applications that you want. So if your company has the collections but doesn't need Civil 3D, for example, you don't have to download Civil 3D. You get access to it if you want it at a later date, but you don't need to, and you can download these applications individually, and they can be installed directly from the Autodesk desktop app. And what's nice about the desktop app is that because you log on to the desktop app and it knows who you are and the company you work for and the rights that you have to download that software, it'll download the software and install it actually without even requiring a serial number or a product key, because it knows all that by virtue of the fact that you're logged into that desktop app. And as a side effect of this, and I don't think many people have really talked about this, but a side effect of this is actually you get easier licensing compliance, because under the suite licensing or the perpetual licensing that you may be used to, if you had 25 licenses, you actually had 50 installs that you could do for that software, because you had 25 licenses that you could install at work, but then you also had the home license or the home use option with your older subscription. And what that would allow you to do is install it on 25 home users. But the problem, one of those home users, one of those people that has a copy of the software on their home machine, what if they leave? What happens to that? Well, the new licensing scheme that we have, the new subscription benefits that we have now, is that because the products are assigned at a user ID level and not on a machine level, that means that users can install the software as many times as they want on as many machines as they want. They log in using their Autodesk ID that activates that software on that machine for them to use, and these software rights can also be revoked. So if an employee leaves, the account administrator can just basically uncheck the collection from their from their software rights, or remove them completely, and the user can't run the software anymore. So it allows you fine-grained control over your licensing in a much more flexible way than it did under the old way of activation on a per machine basis. Now, this is all talking about single user licensing. When we get to multi-user and we're talking about network licensing, that's a different story, but it has much of the same benefits. So for the architecture, engineering, and construction collection, essentially this really combines, like Rowena said in her previous slide, it really combines several suites into one. It combines the building design suite. It also combines in the infrastructure design suite, I believe, as well as some other suites as well, so that you basically get everything you need from building design to infrastructure design as well. So you have all those tools available to you, including piping, P&ID, and so on and so forth. So you get all the right tools that you need at the right time. You don't have to go, trying to get a new license for something just because you need it for a particular project or on a temporary basis. You always have those at your fingertips when you need it. You can integrate your workflows because a lot of these products will interoperate with themselves very easily. So if you're working in Revit, you can easily work with as you well know, you can easily work with AutoCAD files that you get in if you need to. You can easily port the file over to Navisworks without any real hassle, bring it into 3ds Max, InfraWorks 360. All those products really talk to each other pretty well. So we have essentially everything we need to do from an infrastructure and building design standpoint at your fingertips. So just to go over the individual products and cloud services that are provided in the architecture, engineering, and construction collection, we have obviously Revit, 3ds Max, Navisworks Manage, all the AutoCADs, including Civil 3D and Map 3D, InfoWorks 360, and then we also include the plant and factory design aspect of the AutoCAD verticals like P&ID, Plant 3D, AutoCAD Utility Design. We also have vehicle tracking, which basically allows you to figure out how, say a semi-truck is going to work around in a parking lot, things like that. As well as you have all these enhanced cloud services like rendering in A360, Insight 360, which is essentially whole building energy and lighting analysis for Revit, structural analysis for Revit, as well as additional items that are in specific to InfoWorks 360. Now, some of these apps like Format 360 and Recap 360 Pro, these are really the pro aspect of these really usually means that there is a desktop application as well as 360 cloud services that all tie together. So where you might have Format 360 is a free online way of building comprehensive architectural models for conceptual design. Format 360 Pro adds additional things like the desktop application and things like that we'll talk about in a little bit. So when we're looking at these cloud benefits, which I think really separates some of these collections from their suite counterparts, we have 4 of them in the AEC, or Architectural Engineering and Construction Collection, that really stand out, and that is, like I said, Format 360 Pro for conceptual modeling with native Revit interoperability. We have Insight 360, which is essentially whole building energy and environmental performance measuring software. We also obviously have rendering in A360, which has been around for quite some time. It keeps getting better over time. Every time I run the same rendering in A360, it looks better than the 2 weeks I did it before. Then we also have structural analysis for Revit, where your Revit structural, your Revit structure model can be instantly analyzed using cloud-based computing, and you get instant feedback for what you're doing while you're modeling. Okay, so when we're looking at Format 360, there are 2 versions, like I said, Format 360 and Format 360 Pro. And as you can see here from the features list that you see here, they all have intuitive 3D sketching tools, native Revit interoperability, conceptual design with location data, levels, images, materials, so on and so forth. You can always import SketchUp and Revit data using a format converter that's freely available on Autodesk's website. They both have the free iPad and Android tablet applications, so you can do your sketching basically wherever, and they're available as a web browser application. So that's Format 360. Now, Format 360 Pro adds in a Windows installed application. It also has real-time collaboration, so you and somebody else can be working on the same model at the same time because the model is hosted in the cloud. You have also the whole building energy analysis tie-in with Insight 360, which we'll look at in a little bit with Format 360 Pro, which includes solar analysis and as well as access to the Autodesk material library. So when we're looking at this, we have, like I said, we have the real-time collaboration. Somebody on the web can be using it, accessing the same model that you're accessing on the desktop app and vice versa. The solar energy analysis can run this analysis at a very early design stage. You get a nice, kind of a heat map of how your building is integrating with the environment. Like I said before, it works seamlessly with Revit, so you can start with Format 360 and then bring it right into Revit, and you're not going to lose any data. You can just go ahead and keep modeling and refining the model as you need to in Revit. Accessing the Autodesk materials, essentially there's a cloud-hosted version of the Autodesk material library, so those materials that you're putting in will natively interoperate with Revit when it comes into Revit. And obviously, you have location data. You can place your building on the planet in a certain location at a certain degree away from the sun, and a certain time of day, and puts the satellite imagery underneath of the building so you can really get immediate context of your design as you're modeling. So, and then lastly, we have the energy analysis tie-in with Insight 360. And so you can just bring your model straight from Format right into Insight and get instantaneous feedback on how much it's going to cost to heat and cool the building over the year. And then we also have this kind of neat little video I found. I'll let this run, and so you can see kind of what's going on here in action. So we have obviously the iOS and Android tablet applications. They both have exactly the same functionality. It operates inside of any modern web browser, Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever. The Windows application has all the functionality that it has online, but it's a Windows application, so it runs without needing an internet connection. Again, it's very intuitive software. It's and it's BIM, so if you're used to working in SketchUp and working in that manner, where you have no real forward path to get it into Revit other than losing everything and having to do it all over again, Format 360 gives you the same kind of push-pull functionality inside of a Revit compatible application. So the Pro version, like you see here, we have the analysis, the material library, the desktop app, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's talk about Insight 360 a little bit. Insight 360 is essentially all of the building, energy, and environmental simulation software that Autodesk has been producing over the past couple of years, all rolled into this one big Insight 360 umbrella. And it is outcome-driven software, meaning that you can you have all these different key performance indicators and benchmarks and things like that, like cooling loads and heating loads and everything else like that, and you can see these things in real time as you make design changes. So it can really help you drive yourself towards the most optimized building that you can design, given the constraints of everything else that you need to do. It obviously pulls in models directly from Revit and Format 360. In Revit, there's an add-in that takes you right to 360. We'll push the model up to the cloud and do all the energy analysis for you in a matter of seconds. It's really incredible how fast it actually works. Format 360 has the same functionality built in. And because it's cloud-based, you have essentially, instead of just one computer chugging against, hundreds of calculations, you now have thousands of computers at your disposal at any time to do building energy, heating, cooling, daylighting, solar analysis, and so on and so forth, representing millions of potential outcomes all at one time. So that's where this power of the cloud really comes into play. We have access to essentially what they term at Autodesk is infinite computing with the cloud, so you can just throw tons of processing power against these problems and get your answers back very, very quickly. Cloud rendering in A360 is a huge hit. If you have not tried cloud rendering out of Revit, I highly, highly, highly suggest it. It has saved many a rear end in production where you have renderings that are due for a 9 o'clock meeting and it's 2 a.m. and you haven't hit the render button yet. Well, with cloud rendering, it happens very, very quickly, and it's very easy to use. So basically in Revit you have in the View tab you have the Rendering Cloud button. You also have a button to take you to the Render Gallery so you can see your previous renderings. You can render out of AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, 3ds Max, and a couple of other applications, I believe. Accessing all your renderings through the Autodesk A360 rendering portal is very easy, and the quality that you get is outstanding. You get, and this rendering engine that Autodesk has built is sitting on the cloud. It's tweaked constantly by Autodesk. So like I said before, you get better renderings all the time with this thing. So the first couple renderings I saw back in 2 or 3 years ago, they were okay. They were at least as good as what you got out of Revit. But now I don't think you can get these, as the high quality that you get out of the A360 cloud rendering. I think far surpasses what you can get out of Revit by itself, and it only takes you a couple of minutes to get this rendering instead of a couple of hours, and that is a huge boom for everybody. And this has a couple of side effects, especially in terms of, I think, in terms of specifying hardware, because a lot of people will specify machines that they think they need to do intense renderings, which are, multi-CPU, multi-core machines that cost, $10,000 a pop. But you don't need that anymore if you can do all of your rendering in the cloud, because, instead of having a 24-core machine that spits out a rendering in 3 hours, you can have, a 1,000-core machine essentially in the cloud that will spit it out in a couple of minutes. So having to spend that extra money on increased horsepower for rendering kind of goes away. And the nice thing about A360 rendering is it's available now in 3ds Max. It wasn't available previously, and that is a fairly new feature. So if you're doing a lot of your you're modeling in Revit and you're spinning it out to 3ds Max to be able to do some more enhanced visualization, you still get this wonderful rendering engine at your disposal, and it can remove a huge bottleneck in your overall workflow. The other great thing about this is that it has batch rendering management built in. So essentially, you're in Revit, go ahead and just send as many 3D views as you need, all at one time. You don't have to install Backburner. Nothing's happening on your local network. You're not chewing up anybody else's computing time. Just send it all out. And what's nice about the rendering cloud dialog box that you see here is not only can you specify the views that you want to render, but you also specify the render quality, the image size, and the exposure, and so on and so forth. And you can see down at the bottom it tells you how many cloud credits you'll consume with these particular renderings. The nice thing about cloud rendering is that you can set the defaults up with the rendering quality being basically medium and a medium-sized image and so on. It will cost you 0 credits. You can render all day long on the cloud essentially for free, and you'll get somewhat decent renderings, but what they're really good. Those renderings will be fine for you to be able to judge things like lighting and materials without having to wait for a full rendering, or without having to cost you, cloud credits that you would have to replenish with updating those. So what I tell people is, just beat this thing to death. Render as many as things as you want at a default out-of-the-box render quality of medium. And no, you're not going to put those into your PowerPoint presentation, but you're also not going to waste cloud credits rendering something that turns out to be terrible or something like that. So use the rendering, the cloud rendering feature to proof your renderings before you do the final high-res version. And the other thing about cloud rendering too, it's not just about photorealistic pictures. You can create your solar study renderings. You can create interactive panoramas where it actually will do 6, I believe, renderings, top down, left, right, front, back, all at one time, and then map those to a cube that you can actually walk around in. So you can provide that to your client when you want to give them something more interesting to look at than just a pretty picture. They can actually interact with the environment at least a little bit. And you can also apply environments to the rendered scenes too. So you can have if you tell your model that it's sitting in basically out in a field, out in with the mountains in the background, those will show up and be represented in reflections and things like that. And then lastly, we have the structural analysis for Revit, where we can perform static and gravity analysis on our model while we're creating it inside of Revit. Instantly, we just have to go into the Analyze tab and click on the structural analysis toolset. It will take you right to the cloud settings to start the analysis there. It's, like I said, it's because it's inside of Revit, or the excuse me, the plugins are basically inside of Revit. You're not having to stop and export this out to a separate program. You can just basically just go ahead and just set the renderings or set the structural analysis up, let it run. and then go ahead and do whatever you need to do, and then it comes back with the answer. You have a web dashboard, so you can see your analysis as it progresses over time, and different buildings, different projects, things like that. And then you can create calculation notes that has the results of your structural analysis, and save those notes either out to an HTML web page or a PDF. And then you can also create presentation-ready results where you download these structural analysis results and then present those elements in maps, diagrams, deformations, so on and so forth. So that's the building, or the architecture, engineering, and construction collection. Let me go ahead and get into the media and entertainment collection. Essentially, this collection is essentially all of the M&E applications that we have out there with Maya, 3ds Max, Mudbox, and so on. These are the tools that professionals use in creating games. Any movie that you've seen in the past 20 years is using probably Maya and Max in some regard, in terms of doing special effects and things like that. If you're in the AEC industry, both Maya and 3ds Max represent a huge value add for you to be able to take your models and take them to the next level in terms of presentations, and allow people to really explore your models in great detail. The nice thing about the M&E, or the Media and Entertainment Collection, is that it includes Maya and 3ds Max, Motion Builder, and Mudbox. It also comes with Recap 360 Pro for working with point cloud data. The great thing about this collection is that previously in the suites, you either had a Maya Entertainment Creation Suite or you had a 3ds Max Entertainment Creation Suite. And you had to choose which one you wanted to use. But so many of today's firms use both at the same time. And so now you had, instead of having, 15 Maya suites and 10 Max suites, you just need one media and entertainment creation collection, and you get everything that you need. Okay. On the product design side of things, we have the product design collection for making great products, obviously. Everything is connected together. Again, you get Autodesk Inventor Professional, all of the AutoCADs, essentially AutoCAD Architecture, AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD Electrical, as well as Navisworks Managed, 3ds Max, obviously, copy of Vault Basic, as well as the factory design utilities, as well as Recap 360 Pro. Again, it does come with the rendering in A360 cloud benefit. The AutoCAD 360 Pro cloud service, that's essentially a mobile application. That's essentially mobile tablet-based AutoCAD or web-based AutoCAD. It's essentially AutoCAD online, and you can do almost everything you can do in AutoCAD in AutoCAD 360 Pro. And also there's a Fusion 360, which is essentially a 3D modeling application that's cloud-based, that is essentially with the through a web browser. So now that we've talked about all the collections and some of the major 360 cloud benefits, why do we need industry collections? Well, essentially, we get a better deal for our money. I think we get more software at our hands for about the same price. We get applications that will continuously improve over time instead of having to wait once a year for major updates. And this is something that Autodesk has been working towards for the past couple of years. They're looking at getting you improvements to Revit, improvements to 3ds Max, major improvements, not just fixing a bug here and there, but major improvements that actually add real functionality. They're getting this to you faster. That's why we have these R2 releases, say in Revit, half a year we get these R2 releases, and then they add a certain amount of new benefits to the product. We're going to be getting more of those. That's going to be increasing, and through the collections, through the fact that you're not downloading this entire ball of some suite or whatever, you're getting the applications individually. Autodesk can take care of that through the desktop application in terms of getting you upgraded when you need to. Again, more cloud services at our disposal. These cloud services are going to increase over time. We have again, we have single user and multi-user access in terms of licensing, and again, the simplified packaging is going to certainly alleviate a lot of headaches, especially for our larger customers who have hundreds of licenses of all different kinds floating around outside. And for more information on this, there's a bit.ly link here of Autodesk Industry Collections, and this will take you directly to the Industry Collections page on our website, and you can get more information there in terms of what's included if you're looking for something, or get your answers there. You can always email us at support@microsolresources.com if you have any specific questions about what's in the collections. That is going to do it for my presentation today. Thanks, everyone.